is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back here with some more Resident Evil gameplay for you. And today I'll be talking about Leon and his supposedly infection after the latest Resident Evil Requiem trailer from the Game Awards last night. Before I get into that, I do want to make one note of something a lot of people have made me aware of, and I didn't notice that after the fact, is not only the infection, but one of the people that was talking to Leon, his dispatcher or someone that's giving him some aid, I assume was Hunnigan, because that's who has been his person in aid ever since Resident Evil 4. I just assumed that it would be Hunnigan, but no, hearing the voice again, it does sound very similar to either A, Sherry, or B, Ashley, because they have a split-second sequence where you do see the person looking at the screen telling Leon this stuff, and they do look blonde, so yeah. Now, normally I'd probably be like, yeah, I'd rather it be Sherry, because that'd just be a cool callback to Raccoon City, someone who also survived Raccoon City coming back to help Leon. But honestly, I might possibly be maybe even cooler, possibly Ash. I can't believe I'm saying that, but just because I did like remake Ashley a lot more than the original one, which is, you know, let's just say it's another discussion for another day. But anywho, that's not the point of this video. I just want to make that aware of that. I do notice that. But here's the thing. So Leon, as we see him, I think it's when he is basically encountering the chainsaw wielding person, we see that there's something on his neck. This little black spot that's very similar to how this supposed new virus or infection looks. It's kind of like makes the whole body kind of like black and stuff. People speculate whether it's the mold or something new. It maybe has combinations of older things with newer stuff, but nonetheless, poor Leon looks to be infected. Which leads to this next question, which I've heard a lot of people ask. Does that mean that Leon is going to meet his maker and he's finally going to be killed off? Well, he's been lucky so far, but eventually your luck's got to run out, so I'll give my take on it. Even though the bell did ring, it didn't save his ass this time, and unfortunately I think Leon is going to meet his end in Resident Evil Requiem. And the evidence is all there. The biggest evidence has to be Mega Man. You might be thinking, huh? Mega Man? Why? Well, because it was revealed and shown off at the Game Awards yesterday. It came out of nowhere, and I'll be honest, Capcom never does anything with Mega Man lately. I mean, it used to be one of their biggest titles back in the 90s, but ever since the 21st century, they barely even touch it. So the fact that they're bringing that back just shows they're trying to compensate for something that's about to be lost next year. So I'm sorry, Leon Bros, but it looks like your luck's about to run out. Okay, all joking aside, no. Once again, I try to piece together how these things go. Because I've seen a lot of people question, you know, he's all covered up. He's got the gloves. Is the infection spreading? Because they had the one screen where they were showing how the infection was on the hands and stuff. Is that Leon's hands? Not necessarily. I mean, I can't confirm it or not. I don't personally think it is, but it could be, possibly. I just think it's just showing how the infection spreads or how it goes through the body and how to compare it to other things in the past, present, and future. But yeah, Leon being infected, as I said, it's not the first time he's been infected. It puts a little bit of stakes to the game that, you know, hey, you got to hurry up. You got this thing coursing through your body. They did that, I think, really brilliantly with the Las Plagas. I think of all the infections, I think that's the one that's probably the one that's been executed the best in terms of seeing how the character progresses after being infected and slowly getting pushed to the limit, but, you know, escaping eventually. And it'll kind of be deja vu. Let's just think if the dispatcher is Ashley, someone who also was infected with Las Plagas and stuff, she would know firsthand how that feeling is. Now the question is, when did he get infected? Was he already infected before, you know, we start playing as him? Is he infected when he goes to investigate? I've even heard speculation. Is he, you know, visiting Victor because maybe he's looking for a possible cure? Is Grace possibly the cure, and how that all ties up to Elpis as we're starting to get breadcrumbs and all this happening? And also, another thing that I was quick to point out is that the weapon that Grace is using, that we see, not in the latest trailer, but the whole Magnum-looking gun that Grace has in early trailers, that's the same weapon that Leon was running around with. So, obviously, Leon meets Grace, he saves her from the hag monster, but is there some way that maybe Leon, you know, got taken out or is incapacitated just because of the infection and she has to use that weapon? Because obviously he gave it to her. I don't think he gave it to her for no reason. You know, maybe he gave it to her just for the heck of it to protect her. He's fine himself because he's already a lethal weapon. He's already roundhouse kicking people into the walls and stuff and using chainsaws. I mean, we come full circle to chainsaw. Remember, my debut was Resident Evil 4, and how was my debut getting my head chainsawed off on the roof of the building in the original RE4? Now we come full circle. Now I unleash the chainsaw and get my revenge. So, yeah, maybe so. Just speculating, but we don't know. But either way, we're going to see something. Do I think the infection will last the entire game or not? I don't think so. I mean, it could be possible they do that, and maybe it's a nod to it. Maybe they're trying to be like, hey, you know what? We'll fool people and thinking, hey, just like in the older ones, they'll get cured, and maybe they don't get cured in time. That'd be something in a direction they could take. But overall, I don't expect that. It could happen in a midway point in the game. Hey, maybe the only way to cure the infection is to go back to Raccoon City. Who knows? Wouldn't that be a deja vu? Yep, the only way to save yourself is to go back to where it all began and stuff. So that'd be an interesting dynamic that Leon is forced into. But I am interested in where they are going to go with this, because as I said before, I like the whole mystery surrounding it. I like the whole murder vibe, X-Filedness of it. So I'm all a sucker for that kind of stuff. And also, and we've already know that Grace is unique and special, is that, is Grace ultimately, is that going to be her heroic moment as well, with Leon, already a legendary hero, and that's her, coming to terms and showing that she can also stand on her own, obviously get some help from Leon, but maybe she can also return the favor and stuff. And who knows, is there other characters that we have yet to see that can also play a role in this whole thing? Because I don't think they've quite shown everything, but only time will tell what direction they're going to go with this, because I can see a lot of things coming to piece, but I'm only going to go with the things right now that I know from watching the trailer. We can speculate a little bit later in other videos who might come in to appear, because obviously, it'd be kind of ironic if it's someone like, as I said, the dispatcher of Sherry, or possibly an Ashley. Maybe ironic if it is Ashley, just because I said earlier that both of them were affected, so seeing it all happen again, be like deja vu, 20 plus years later. But if they go with the Sherry way, this be like, hey, deja vu, hey, I was the one infected in the Raccoon City incident, Resident Evil 2. Now it's the other way around, and, it could be something like that. Maybe that's the nod there, too. Either way, it'd be kind of cool, which begs the question, if that is the case, it's either Sherry or Ashley. What happened to poor Hunnigan? Maybe she retired. Maybe she got tired of Leon crashing the vehicles, because obviously they're going to make a big deal about Leon in his vehicle. And that's another little thing I'll ask you guys. How long do you think that vehicle will last? And who knows? Maybe he actually learned. Maybe he actually took some safety lessons. Only time will tell. But that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. How do you feel about this whole Leon infection? Do you think it's maybe just callbacks to earlier Resident Evil titles? Do you think they'll lure you in with a false sense of hope to make you think, oh, they all got cured in, but they didn't? Or do you think it's something that's going to last the entirety of the game, or just a halfway point in the game? Do you think that Grace is the key to this whole vaccine? And also, do you think that the voice that's on the dispatch that's talking to Leon is either Sherry or Ashley, or maybe someone completely different, or maybe it is Hunnigan? It's just the voices have changed over the years. Let me know that in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back in the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.